Hello, my name is Tony Kent, and this strange image is actually a light switch. Now, why am I showing you this particular light switch, and what does this have to do with your relationship? Well, as quickly as you can flip on a light switch, that's how fast you can transform the entire quality and experience of your relationship. Even if you're not currently in a relationship, yet your heart yearns for love, this secret can help you attract the perfect partner into your life, and often with magical serendipity. I know because I've literally seen relationships go from the brink of ending, seeing two hearts both suffering and in pain, to the couple reconnecting really deeply and experiencing their hearts opening to each other and falling in love again, filled with adoration and appreciation and mutual respect. Similarly, I've seen men and women who have gone years wondering when their Mr. or Mrs. Right would appear. And then they would suddenly find love, but the true and lasting kind of love, and sometimes in the most unlikeliest of places. And the shift in your heart can occur as quickly as flipping on a light switch. Now, of course, the actual unfolding of complete love and all of the accompanying changes in a relationship don't show up in one moment. Those are realized over time. But the immediate insight, the big aha that initiates the shift and creates noticeable change in the way that you and your partner relate, this can literally happen in a moment. And this is true for any relationship. It can be with a family member, a friend, a business colleague, or anyone in your life. The secret applies to all your relationships. And it doesn't matter now whether you're about ready to break up or even into divorce proceedings, or you haven't spoken to the person you've struggled with in years. It doesn't matter whether you've been single for a while, wondering how to attract the true love into your life. And even if there's a part of you that has totally given up on love, you can stop worrying. You're here watching this right now because love is not only possible, it was meant for you. It's your divine birthright, and it's closer than you think. Now, before I reveal what this switch is and how to flip it, we need to first understand why most traditional approaches often fall short and how I discovered what I'm about to share with you. Albert Einstein once said, "No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it." Personally, I believe he's absolutely right. Yet this is what we often do in relationships when problems arise. One person says, "Oh, you fool, you idiot, you shouldn't have purchased that, you shouldn't have done that." And then the other responds with a similar attack. "Well, you shouldn't have done this, or you shouldn't have done that." And so on and on it goes. I think you get the point. We end up fighting blame with blame. We respond to anger with anger. We respond to distance or coldness with more distance or coldness. Blame and other similar expressions are violent forms of communication, so it's only natural to feel hurt and to get defensive. And then often we end up responding by blaming the other person for something similar. Yet it's also a very big trap for reasons that are not easily apparent. It's almost as if we think, well, they blame me, now if I blame them back, it'll cancel each emotion out and this will restore the balance. Or maybe we think that our partner has no right to blame us for anything because it's they themselves who are equally guilty. And we think such a retaliatory response will create humility. Yet, more often than not, the blame just creates humiliation. And it's the same with any form of attack. Neither the attacks nor the corresponding responses help the relationship grow because they're both on the same level. Now, this may appear to you to be intellectually obvious, but observe how you feel or how you're tempted to react the next time your partner blames or communicates aggressively with you. Now, the ultimate answer to this process is not obvious or intuitive for most people. Indeed, my personal story will prove that, because as a young man, I dreamed of being a photographer, and I was living on a shoestring budget at the time. I worked for years, practicing every single day, and I was constantly hustling for work. and I stopped at nothing in order to achieve my dream. And years later, I enjoyed the fruits of this persistence and consistency and dedication. As I ended up being the official photographer for Princess Grace of Monaco. I was photographing presidents like Nixon and Francois Mitterrand. I was photographing many famous actors and actresses, and I was a regular contributor for famous magazines like Elle, Marie Claire, and French Vogue. I traveled in elite circles in the fashion, acting, and music world, and what started as a dream had become my life work, and I became one of the most in-demand photographers in the world. I even met and married a beautiful woman during this time, and together we started a family. Now, by most people's standards, my life was magical. I was, as I said, an elite fashion photographer. I was living in France and Paris. I'd created wealth through my passion. I owned a beautiful home in the French countryside, 30 minutes from my studio in Paris, and I enjoyed loving relationships with my wife and children. And I had it all, or so I thought. I moved back to the States to be close to my parents and had some more children. But then suddenly everything fell apart, starting with my relationship with my wife. She left me, and my heart was shattered. I was alone, I was in a deep depression, and I was doing my best to look after and care for the 4 kids, but I was so devastated. Single parenting my kids, I was emotionally distraught. I couldn't even work. I lost all my desire to work. And I quickly burned through my entire life savings in less than a year, and I was left lost with no clue as what to do next. There were, of course, many blessings in disguise during this difficult time, and one such blessing was my ego had been shattered by my experience. And the second blessing was that the incredible emotional turmoil had forced me to open my heart and surrender. The emotional pain was so great, there was truly nothing else I could do but seek answers to deal with the immense pain I was going through that rendered me really dysfunctional. A friend said it was the longest bull ride he ever saw, as I hung on hoping my wife would come back and love me again. Now, during this period, I began to work with a close friend and a spiritual psychologist I discovered, and I learned that my life, especially my relationship, had been built on a shaky foundation. As part of the process, she recommended I see a great spiritual teacher she knew from Jerusalem, someone who had guided her and who was well-versed in mystical practices and traditions that spanned thousands of years. Now, this teacher had remained hidden from most of the people in the West, and yet was renowned throughout the other parts of the world for his ability to open hearts and provide insight. So I flew to the Holy Land and met with him. I went really in desperation to the Holy Land, really feeling that this was my last hope. I arrived at his place in the middle of the night, and I was exhausted from years of worry and not sleeping and depression. Yet, as I listened to him that night, he told me things about myself that I really have no way of knowing how he knew, but I found my heart starting to move in mysterious ways. I was feeling emotions that were outside of my normal everyday experience. And by the end of our time together then, it's like the glass in front of my eyes had been wiped clean and I could see things brightly and clearly. But more importantly, I felt different. I felt this innate sense of joy and love, not for a particular person, but for life, for everyone. It was every bit as incredible as it is indescribable. So I returned home not only understanding what had happened, but with hope. I no longer felt like I was a victim. And in terms of my relationship, while it was long over at that time, the switch that this man helped flip inside me made another change that would manifest not much longer after. As I walked out of that encounter, joy seemed to fill my body and my spirit was renewed. And in a flash, I finally understood where I'd gone wrong in my relationship and why my partner felt unfulfilled and left so abruptly. When I returned home, I experienced one of those great magical moments that totally turned everything around for me, and I spent a significant amount of time sharing this experience. In a nutshell, I learned that we think our pain comes from love we're not getting, when in reality our pain comes because we stop loving. Loving opens our heart. It creates a doorway for the God and the divine to give back to us, and the teachings will walk you through how to create this opening. And as a result of this experience with this teacher, And the transformation that ensued, I eventually attracted another relationship in my life, a beautiful woman who became my wife and beloved, and who I thrive with and I love with all my heart to this very day. Now, the level of understanding and support and sharing and growth that we experience together is, I think, something that everyone seeks. It really is simply magical. And this is also why I can say that based on my personal experiences, not just on things I've read or thought about or done, but on my personal experiences, that these teachings not only help transform relationships, they also will prepare you to attract the level of love and connection to your heart that you're so passionately yearning for. Truthfully, I owe so much to this great teacher for showing me this way and these teachings. So what secret did he reveal to me? A small part of it lies in something called divine alignment. And by that, I mean how aligned your perspective about your relationship is with your relationship to the divine. Whether you choose to use the word God, Creator, Allah, Christ, Buddha, Source, or anything else, it doesn't matter to me. In the case of my failed relationship, I clearly saw my wife as separate, disconnected from me, even in adversarial terms at times. Yet Siddhi, who's a great Gnostic master, teaches that relationships won't ever fully flower and reach their fullest potential until both sides open their eyes and hearts to the divinity within each other. So if you have any spiritual inclination or yearning inside you, which I'm guessing you do if you're watching this now, then this insight, particularly how Siddhi teaches it, can hit you like a flash, literally turning on the light switch inside of you. Now, I showed you this image earlier because just like this particular light switch, it's not always intuitively apparent how to turn it on. Yet once you simply touch it, voila, the light goes on and you understand how it works forever. And that's what happened to me. As I saw what he meant, it was like my entire past, present, and even future became clear to me. Sure, I still had work to do, because an open heart must also be practiced daily for your life to truly transform on every level. Now, in my case, what I quickly saw was how much richer and fuller and glorious life and all my relationships in it could be. And this forever changed my perspective and my reality. Now, some of this might sound like spiritual fluff to you, but Siddhi's extremely practical in the way he teaches. So let's go a bit deeper. If you're currently in a relationship, or maybe you've recently lost one, or if you'd like to improve your relationship with a friend or a family member or somebody you work with, or if you want nothing more than to finally meet the love of your life and spend the rest of your life with him or her, then I encourage you to ask yourself the following questions. What do I feel when I think of this person? It can be a current relationship or a desired future one. How does this feeling compare with the best and happiest moment I've ever felt in my relationship or in any peak moment in my life? Do I feel like I'm currently giving my whole heart and thus my actions to the other person? Or am I holding back the possibility of love? Am I holding it back in any way? If I experienced happiness and abundance on every level, with no frustration or sense of limitation at all, what would this relationship look and feel like? How would I currently describe my relationship with God, or with the divine, or with Source? Is that relationship open and flourishing? Or do I feel like spirituality has taken a back seat to other priorities? Think for a moment if any of those questions hit home for you. Now, is it possible for you to imagine, really imagine, just how it would feel to experience boundless love, connection, deep intimacy, trust, open communication, mutual respect, fun, exhilaration, joy, and all the things that you know are possible for you within a divinely inspired relationship? If so, then what I'm about to share is for you. The questions we just covered should give you a little insight into your current state. But more importantly, they reveal a window into what's possible and how quickly your relationship or ability to attract one can change once you tap into something higher. And that's exactly what I'd like to help you do today, so that you can tap into your full potential to positively transform any relationship with anyone or attract love that has the potential to last forever. This ability and the effect it can have on you and others is one of the many reasons why it's been my mission to bring C.D. and his teachings to the U.S., especially since my life was changed so by him. Over 17 years has been my joy and honor to be his companion, and I've traveled and taught with him all over the country. And I want to share with you what I've learned with him, every single insight that can help you to create greater love, trust, devotion, connection, and heart-centered bliss with any relationship you have. I call this process Make Your Relationships Magical, and while it might sound too good to be true, it's exactly what happens if you follow the process. In fact, it happened only days ago. A friend and colleague of mine had fallen in love with a woman about 5 years ago, and it was love at first sight, or in their case, they felt love the first time they spoke over the phone. And their relationship progressed, and at first long distance, and then eventually in person, and soon they got married. However, once in the U.S., his work necessitated they moved to a place where they could have a greater income with a higher cost of living. And as my colleague's workload grew, he began to be able to give less and less in terms of time and attention and focus, and especially affection to his spouse, while he continually felt more stressed and unhappy due to excess work and financial pressure. Naturally, their relationship eroded over time. Feelings of love and trust went down, and a sense of bitterness arose. And they even began to discuss whether they were truly right for each other. And this began to affect all facets of their life. More difficulties arose. Their existence became stressful. It was filled with frustration. It was largely rooted in the growing discord within their relationship. And of course, this also had a negative effect on the children. So seeing this, I suggested that they meet C.D. and they speak with him. Now, C.D. was teaching in an area not far from where they lived, so one afternoon they drove up. And they had a meeting with C.D. which probably didn't last more than 15 minutes. Yet even before they spoke or revealed anything about their challenges, C.D. gave them simple insights into their relationship that were so profound and so instant, and the man, my colleague, felt like a huge weight lifting from his shoulders. And almost immediately he felt something shift and open in how he felt about his wife. And immediately after, he began adoring her again and appreciating her and feeling passion and joy in his heart. He wasn't only amazed, he was also grateful about what had happened. And the feeling in his heart reminded him of how he first felt when he totally fell in love with her. But it was even better because it felt higher, coming from a place of greater wisdom and self-awareness. And through this opening and love, her heart opened as well. "You're back," she told him elatedly, feeling the strength and power of his love in every word and action. Now, I know this sounds almost like a fairy tale, but it is as real as it gets. And I know this for a fact because in the 17 years I've been with C.D., I've seen how many marriages he's helped save, how many new relationships have sprung into existence because of people who have learned the secret of how to attract a new beloved into their lives. And it's possible for you once you tap into the same power that helped this young man reopen his heart and transform his relationship. And that's precisely what I'll teach you in Make Your Relationship Magical program, and it's why it's my honor to be sharing it with you today. This entire process is simple enough that you can complete it in one day, or you can go slowly at whatever rate you want. It can have quick and long-term effects on your relationship or your ability to attract divine inspired love into your life. And inside the program, you'll get 4 step-by-step videos along with printable action guides for each one. Now, each has a distinct purpose in helping you move closer to the point where your relationship ability can be fully transformed. Fully transformed. And it will be filled with love and appreciation and true awe. In video module number 1, Building the Foundation, we cover a lot. You'll see how differences, once that you understand how to see them, can actually bring you and your partner or future partner closer together. I'm going to share a great story about King Arthur's remarkable escape from death including a chance encounter with a witch that reveals the little-known secret about what women really want. You're going to learn the art of divine listening and how profoundly honored others will feel when you practice it. Did you know that there's a 6-letter word starting with C that'll help quickly see positive change in all your relationships? Are you using it? How both your best and ugliest moments, when viewed the right way, can generate magical openings in your heart and relationship potential? And that's just scratching the surface. Because in video module number 2, The Fire in the Garden, you're going to learn even more, including how a sacred text will help your mind finally bow to your heart, giving your partner a window into your divinity and soul. You're going to learn the art of leading by surrender and why it only takes one courageous person to initiate powerful change in any relationship or interaction. And this is how, even if your partner is not fully open or involved in the process, it's still often possible to experience dramatic change simply by how you're with them first. Also, leading by surrender is one of the most powerful ways to attract the best possible person to you. It's something your ideal mate will notice and see, like a window into your soul, and be inexplicably drawn to. You'll discover how relationships are nearly always our best life teachers, and the single most important way to nurture the learning that comes from this process, and the simple affirmation that shifts your heart into a mode of divine giving. So generous, in fact, that you overflow with love and generosity, and you'll be happy with anything that comes your way. And much, much more. Now, in video module 3, we go even deeper. You're going to find out how a simple change to the way you see and practice gratitude can turn happiness into life-changing practice, one that snowballs into greater levels of joy and daily bliss. You're going to learn the secret to developing spiritual muscle. A hint, it's all about focusing your attention on conscious trust. Now, you're also going to learn why it's never too late to change your relationship or to attract love. Even if you're in the midst, as I said earlier, of divorce proceedings or a breakup or haven't dated anyone in a decade or more, things can be turned around. Yet there's one 14-letter word you must know and embrace for such a change to occur. I'll show you the 2-coin trick, which reveals about how your everyday perception and how you can be fooled unless you understand exactly how to look beneath the surface. And finally, in video module 4, we literally work to uproot inner blockages that may be affecting your ability to love fully, so that you can share yourself completely while keeping the flame of passion burning brightly in your heart at all times. And I'll also teach you the one question to always ask yourself any time that you feel anger, or stress, or sadness, plus how to take immediate action based on the answer to that question, so that you quickly return to a place of poise and gratitude. I'll teach you the single fastest cure for low self-esteem or despair. I'll give you a clue. It's not all about you personally. And once you understand this, everything changes. I'm going to teach you the all too common A word, which can damage months or even years of trust and growth. And I'm going to show you why all personal empowerment and therefore change begins with just one amazingly simple realization. I'm going to show you how to be the kind of person who others are magnetically attracted to, whether you're in a relationship now or ready to find your soulmate. Overall, it's simply impossible for me to convey just how much insight has been transmitted into these video modules and the corresponding worksheets. Yet the process is very quick and straightforward. You merely watch each video with an open mind and heart so that you get the ahas and the insights that myself and so many others have experienced in C.D.'s presence. And then you follow the actions listed in the worksheet to ensure you follow through until all the changes you wish to see are present in your life. These teachings are not designed to be complex, nor are they based on the opinions or research of psychologists, authors, or others who teach or write about relationships. The entire process is simply designed to help you experience quick and yet lasting change in any or all of your relationships, especially with the divine. And you will learn how to not only connect with the divine, but stay connected. And you will discover how to see the divine within you and within others. It's not just in some of us, it's in all of us. And just as I've emphasized throughout, it's the perfect way to open yourself so that there's no need to search, because love finds you. I wish there was a better way to truly convey the joy and awe that are possible once you go through the process. It's literally, as you saw in the earlier story about my colleague, as though a veil is lifted and you see your partner with totally new and fresh eyes. And you see yourself differently. You experience life differently. And that, of course, changes how you see everything. The relationship takes on a totally new and radically improved quality, with greater love and devotion and trust, a sense of unity and more. And this is what I want for you. Not just a month from now or a week from now, not even merely tomorrow. I want you to experience this starting today. Because if you're watching this now and you've made it this far, it means you're absolutely ready to rise beyond whatever has seemingly limited your relationship or ability to attract love. And you're finally ready to begin basking in the incredible joy, the heartfelt joy that's possible when you bring true divinity in your heart and connection with others. I've done my very best to make this program affordable. It's only $97, yet it's costly enough that it's taken seriously. All too often we get books or CDs we never open or use, and I don't want that for you because I've personally firsthand experienced the incomparable joy and the love and the future possibilities and the potential that comes through these teachings. And if you take action like I know you will, the changes will be infinitely worth more than the price. Not to mention avoiding the heartache and the pain in your future, and you won't be repeating the same mistakes. With your relationships magically transformed, it's possible to step out of all your past patterns and really to transform the quality of your relationships at the deepest possible level. Each video is multimedia, high quality, it's visually engrossing, entertaining, spiritually empowering. I was a professional magician for a while, so I share some magic that I use as a metaphor to help you remember some of the ideas. I used all my experience as a top photographer to create what I feel are stunning images. To get started, you can access the program immediately by clicking the Add button below. And once you check out, you'll have full access to the Make Your Relationship Magical program, including all 4 video modules and worksheets, with the wealth of insight and change it can potentially bring to you. Nothing, honestly, nothing excites me more than thinking of how amazingly inspired and divine your relationship is, or truly can be once you experience these teachings. To build a better life, build a better you. By looking at and honestly facing the truth about our most important relationships and our ability to attract love, no matter how bitter or painful, we can then create true healing and growth, which opens up possibilities beyond what can even be imagined in our hearts right now. I know, because I've seen both sides. I've experienced agonizing pain and loss, and also unbelievable joy and fulfillment through a relationship. Now, the flow and incredible quality of our relationship not only brings our hearts bliss and joy, it allows both me and my wife to pursue additional passions that align with our highest purpose. One of these is a nonprofit which supports bringing my teacher Sidi and the spiritual principles he teaches to share his message with thousands of people. In addition, the nonprofit helped build a kindergarten school in the Holy Land, which currently has close to 200 students, who are mostly orphans or from very poor families. We're currently looking to build a primary school for 1,000 students because we believe that spiritually based education can help solve the struggles that people are currently experiencing. After all, as Sidi stresses in his teachings, we're all from one father, Adam, and one mother, Eve. My life truly is magical and blessed, largely because I was given a process that allowed me to wake up to my own divine nature and to see how that divinity is the real foundation of every extraordinary relationship. I've been blessed, but I'm far from the only one. And the very fact that you're watching this now means that you too can experience the same. And if anything should be clear by now, whether you're in a relationship or yearning for one, it's that your heart is the single best place to begin that transformation. What's inside your heart on a daily basis will affect your current or future partner and play the single most important role in whether you feel excited or afraid, happy or sad, optimistic or pessimistic, blessed or burdened, loved or unloved. And because of this, it makes sense to start right here, right now, by simply flipping the switch and shining this bright light of insight into your heart and across all your relationships. For you and every other person on earth has the same potential to create a magical life filled with magical relationships. And as a result of my own personal journey in meeting Siddhi, I am fully dedicated to supporting you and anyone I encounter to enrich your relationships by reconnecting with the divine, now and until my very last breath. So, to get started, simply click the button below. Follow the process and you'll have access to the program just minutes from now. Now, earlier I mentioned I was a photographer in my younger years. Well, in the same way that I learned to capture beauty in photography, the artist in me hopes to help you find the beauty within you. Indeed, the deepest passion and the deepest love that is within your heart, so that your very existence and being, moment to moment, helps make a difference in the world. I want to connect with each person I mentor with the intention of helping them to manifest their divine purpose, the essence of their potential, and to actualize this in their lives. And I truly hope that you'll join me in this journey, beginning with the first step of making your relationships magical. And once you awaken this ability to further see how your higher self and divinity can be touched through your relationships, your life will never be the same. Love, romance, and passion are only the beginning. Nothing is out of reach. And there's no greater fulfillment possible in life than experiencing the magic possible when you open your heart and feel love, divinely inspired love, at all times in all your relationships. So if you're ready to begin, then you know what to do next. I thank you so much for your time, and I'm honored by your presence and the attention that you've given this video. This is Tony Kent, and I hope we get more opportunities to, as I like to say, live to love, love to serve, and make your life magical. Many thanks and many blessings.